Yeah, that's right.
Bev
That's
Settle is out there looking, trying to find it. She can't find it.
Oh, boy.
answer right on the, oh, here it goes.
No, it's something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think now we're up and running. Meeting is now streaming. So I think we are back up and running on Facebook. So I apologize to anybody who was trying to find it. As you have witnessed earlier in the day, we have struggled and struggled to get this up and going and running smoothly. And we thought we had it, but alas, we didn't. So now we are starting the Third Option Facebook Live event. I hope that you can see us out there. And Mike and Andrea, welcome. We already started this, but we're going to start again because I'm sure that many people, unfortunately, we apologize, did not get to see this. So I just want to welcome everybody to our Third Option International Live Facebook event. I'm Sue Pinto. I'm the Assistant Director with the Third Option International. And this is my husband, Randy Pinto, who's been over here frantically trying to find it on Facebook while we've been chatting. And he is on the board. And Randy and I became involved with the Third Option about 10 or 11 years ago as participants. And then we became involved as volunteers and as mentor couples. And when the program started, the program was under the leadership of Mike and Andrea Buckley at the Good News Center. And we are so thrilled to welcome Andrea and Mike here. Thank you for being patient with us, Mike and Andrea. We are actually truly live now, I think, on our Facebook page. So welcome.
We're glad to be here.
Oh,
Great.
good, thank you. Yeah, so
Sue,
before,
don't worry.
I know. So before we do start our conversation again, I just want to let viewers know that if you do want to submit a question or ask anything, or just send a comment, please feel free to do so on our Facebook page, or you can send it in Messenger to us. My husband is here manning the board, so to speak. So Mike and Andrea, if you could just give us that quick history of the Third Option International and how it came to you.
Yes, well, Patricia Ennis, who worked in the Family Life Office of the Diocese of Syracuse, the Catholic Diocese of Syracuse, had a friend back in the early 80s that was going through a painful divorce. And she was just at her wit's end as to where this person could go to get some help. Well, things were limited back then. There were counselors and the people tried to go through counseling, but it ended up in a very painful divorce. So Patricia said to herself, I got to write a program that people can use to really turn things around in their marriages. So she did that with the backing of the diocese, and the Third Option program was born in 1988. And it's still going today at the diocese. They've been offering for over 32 years a live program to couples that live in the Syracuse area. Now, Andrea and I got involved with the Third Option back in 2004. There was a facilitator that came to our parish, Utica, New York, and said, we want to try to offer this Third Option program. Would you be willing to participate? And we said, yeah, we're all for marriage. And we started with 2 other couples, and we went together for probably about 13, 14 years. And that's where we met Randy and Sue, who came to the program in Utica as well. And so we moved the program to the Good News Center in 2005, and it's been going ever since then. And we started with just a few couples, and it grew to up where we had about 60 people in attendance at certain times over the years. Now, Pat Ennis retired from the diocese in about 2014, I believe, and the Good News Center took it over from the diocese, and we have had our own Third Option International 501c3 corporation running Third Option International and supporting communities, across this country. There are about 30. I'm not saying they're all active right now, but there have been in excess of 30 communities over the years. And I know that there have been Third Option communities in the Philippines, and I believe some in Europe as well.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And I remember when Randy and I started, it really was I think like 4 couples, 4 of us, 4 groups of us in a room with our facilitator, Mike, who was awesome. And it was, you know, as I'm sure for many couples who start this, there's always that kind of nervousness when you're starting a program because you're admitting that something's not right with your marriage. And I can remember being there and thinking, now everybody's going to know. But as I said before, we were having a conversation and it's like, well, listen, they can either know now or they can know when you're in divorce court. So what's better to start now when you can hopefully help reconcile and make it better. So after you implemented the program, how long did it take for you to really notice that, you know, that this was a special program? This wasn't just a counseling. This was really a special program that had great skills and workshops that truly worked for couples.
Well, I'd like to answer that by saying we noticed it in our own relationship. It was helping us and it was helping our family. The communication skills that we were learning, being with other couples, sharing our story, being willing to share our feelings was bringing Mike and I closer together in our relationship. And it was somewhat contagious, especially in a small group setting where the third option mentality is that you are there, you are never forced to share. We will never make you feel low, and we share for ourselves, and nobody comments on our sharings. So it was really a wonderful, safe learning environment. And over the years, hundreds of couples. I mean, I probably could get the figure for you, but hundreds of couples in 14 years have come through this program in various stages of their marriage, from newlywed to 50-year marriages, wanting to just grow closer together, closer in their communication. So we saw it work right away, to answer your question, in our own relationship, but then we began seeing it with others.
We also found that at the Good News Center, people were just showing up at the door saying, our marriage is in trouble and we need help. And we've tried other things to get it going and it hasn't worked. So we're coming to you. What can you do for us? And we would just point them out to say, come Sunday night to the Third Option program. That's all you have to do. It's free. You don't have to talk. You don't have to air any dirty laundry, anything like that. And people were coming in droves. And then we would find that counselors, county and city agencies were sending people because they didn't know what to do. There was, you know, you just can't just fix it like that. It was really the grassroots efforts of people listening to other people share about their struggles and what they use from the Third Option program, those skills that they learned that gave everybody the hope and the desire to want to work on their relationship.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that that's really the secret of the Third Option is, you know, their counselors and mediators absolutely are valued and have the purpose, and they can be great resources for couples to improve. But I think the true secret of the Third Option is the fact that it is just regular people. Nobody's professional there. In a professional capacity. We're just all couples who are going through most likely much of the same thing that the couple next door is going through. And it's really comforting, I think. And I've seen that with people who've gone through it. I think when we went through it, it was very comforting, even though there's that nervousness, there's that fear to put it out there and to show up at a place or to reach out to someone and say, uh-oh, we're struggling. But, you know, once you do it and once you get into that particular organization, that particular program, the comfort of the other couples being there is a relief. It's a release. It really is, I think, the true secret to why it works, quite frankly. I really think the mentor couples and just people coming to share together. I think that's the biggest, best kept secret, maybe, I don't know, but I think that's the beauty of that program. And I just wanted to inform our listeners that there are Third Option programs that are up and running throughout the country. They're running in various places, whether it's through a diocese, through an independent church, through There's a program I know that is being held at the YMCA in one particular area. So unfortunately now, because of this pandemic, many of those programs have had to shut down, or they might be doing what we're doing, kind of having these Zoom sort of meetings to keep their program going during this time of social distancing. In the meantime, whether there is a program for anybody who's viewing this now that's within their vicinity, or that they're in a shutdown, there is still hope that, and guidance through hopefully this every week. And there is a DVD that you can purchase and have within the comfort of your home during this time of social distancing if you want to follow the program along with us each week. So I just wanted to point that out to any viewers to please feel free to check out our website, or you can send us a message on our Facebook page. We'd be happy to answer that. So Mike and Andrea, can you give our viewers an overview of the format now of how the program works? What happens when you're walking in and you're going to this program? What is somebody going to see?
Well, when you call and register in your area to go to a third option program, basically you come either with your spouse, or you can come alone. It's rare that you can find a program where you can come alone, but this is one. And all they give you is a little name tag with your first name on it. And somebody welcomes you, and they don't ask you a ton of questions, and you just take a seat, grab a cup of coffee, and sit down. The first hour, it starts, and from start to finish should take maybe an hour and a half. It depends how long people want to gather at the end and just chit chat if they choose. But the first half hour of the program, once it gets started, it's divided into two areas. People who have been coming are sitting and discussing the lesson that they were taught. The first lesson, which would be on respect. So while they're doing that, it's an evolving program. You can have new people all the time come. So when somebody's new, that in another room, that first half hour, there's an orientation going on. So the two things are going on simultaneously. There's a mentor couple with that new couple, sitting with them, reading the guidelines of the program, telling them it's not counseling, telling them respectful rules of how to share for yourself and not throw your spouse under the bus, and that everything is confidential, all those types of things, and that addressing issues that they might have, if there's addictions or infidelity, if it's a third party situation, which is a common thing in a marriage. I mean, all that is addressed very discreetly with this mentor couple in orientation. And they ask kind of for a commitment to the program that you'll give it a try. If there is a third party, that you'll let that go and you're going to work on the marriage relationship that you have. And so there is a secret ingredient. Mike always loves that part of the program. I'll let you.
God is the secret ingredient. Having a faith really makes a difference in many times of a marriage that's going to survive versus one that's going to go away. So it isn't a teaching of religion at all. It's about people sharing their faith, help them get through this difficult time, and that can be the difference of survival and flourishing again, or failing in the marriage. So
yes. So in that orientation time, at the end of it, the mentor couple that is with the new couple gives their short personal story of where they were in their relationship, the good times, the really difficult times, and how things really came together and got better with the help of the third option program and its skills. So that would be the end of the orientation. Then there's a break with coffee and refreshments. And the second segment is when the topic has the facilitator, and she introduces it, and there is a very informal interactive teaching with the people. So you have the new people and the people who are coming. And then the third part of that program at the end is a short, brief sharing, or maybe the video presentation sharing from one couple relevant to just that topic. So it would be respect or responsibility or expectations, whatever the topic is. And that would be the end, a short closing, and that would be the end of the program. And people, when they leave, they're just so much like you said before, or Sue said before, a sense of peace, a sense of I'm not here alone. And maybe they didn't share. Maybe the only thing that was shared was that mentor couple in the orientation, or that short mentor couple at the end. But that couple now has an opportunity to go home, or individual, and begin a dialogue or a conversation, or say, you know, what I heard tonight, this other woman shared her feelings, and I feel like that too. So if it inspires them to go home and talk to each other, it's not something that has to always be shared in a group. This is our goal, to get couples or individuals in relationships to learn to communicate and come together.
Yeah.
After each topic, there are questions that the people take home and that they're supposed to work on themselves and as a couple during the week to try to really build upon what they learned at the session. Looking forward to coming back and discussing that if they choose to with the folks that return. And I'll tell you, a lot of friendships have developed, even though we don't know other people's personal lives, those kinds of things. But people know when they show up at Third Option, they see this couple they saw the last time, they know that those people are just like us. They're struggling, but they're here giving it the attention that they really need. So there's power in that.
I totally agree. I really think there is. And I do remember, you know, being at some of those meetings, and obviously at the very beginning, you can always tell whether it was us or whether it was other people who had just come in, you can always tell who's nervous about being there, who maybe doesn't want to. But honestly, you don't have to speak. And I think that is what is so beautiful about it. Whereas if you're going to a counselor, it's literally 3 of you in a room, the couple and the counselor, and you're most likely going to have to talk. And sometimes that is really difficult. So again, going back to, I think what is the beauty of the program is that you sure you might be in a room full of 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 couples, and you might be thinking, oh my gosh, now they all know that we're struggling and that we don't get along, or that we're on our way to a divorce. But you know what? None of those couples are thinking that. Not a single one is thinking that at all. They're all there. They're all just willing to be there. They've taken that step. They're all in the same boat. And I truly think that after a while, new couples who come in after a few times, they recognize, hey, we are all in the same boat. We all have many of the same issues or hangups or whatever, and yet we can work this out. And so there is truly a comfort in that whole couple gathering. I really think that it's honestly one of the best possible ways to help you through relationships. You know, it really is. So I totally agree with that. So, you know, when you talked about briefly about, you know, that God is your secret ingredient, or faith, I should say, faith. So how do you address that thought that, you know, some people maybe don't have a faith, maybe some people that turns them off, and I can understand. I'm not saying anything either way. The program is offered in 3 options. There is the secular, the Christian, and the Catholic. What if there's a program that is at a Catholic church and somebody's really struggling, but what would you say to them? And they're like, well, I'm not going to go because it's at a Catholic church and I'm not Catholic, or I am, you know, don't believe. What is your thought to that? Or how can you help somebody to overcome that?
Well, I would just be open in the invitation. I would encourage them to try the program. What you will find in the language of the manual and of the program, there is no mention of any specific religion in the text, in the workshops, in any of the presentations. What comes across and what is the secret ingredient are the couples who share, because they are telling their own personal story. And for almost all of them, they talk about their faith, they talk about their commitment, they talk about why they fell in love eventually, they talk about their hurts, and And in the workshops, you learn about forgiveness. How can we trust again? All those things aren't really possible without an underlying knowledge of faith. Those are where all those things come from, but it's never preached. It usually comes through in a personal story when that couple shares. So I don't think when you're hearing about somebody's story, it's like reading a book. It's not something that somebody is hitting you over the head with and trying to get you to join something.
And also, it started out as a Catholic version because it was founded in a Catholic diocese. So other dioceses and other parishes along the way wanted to offer it in their community. So they logically did that. But then we had other church communities say, gee, can we do it in a Christian church? Absolutely. So we just kind of, Pat and others, we kind of just adjusted it so that any faith community could offer the third option. And Andrew could tell you more about the details as to how that is integrated. I don't know how much time we have here tonight. But the other thing is, people might ask, well, why do you have a secular version? Well, the reason there's a secular version is because the state of California offered a marriage commitment educational group that was kind of a federal grant, and Pat got involved with that and was part of the launching of a large initiative, a marriage initiative, and she really spearheaded that group. And then there are also there are communities like public schools that have offered the third option for children. We developed the third option for kids program, and there you got to be careful about the religious sharing part. So it teaches the skill. It just doesn't accentuate the religious part of it. And that's worked out very well for certain instances of offering it not only to children, but for adults, let's say, in a community setting, people that are struggling. I mean, when you look at the budgets of all the municipalities out there, broken families are what comprise most of the county budgets across this country. And a program like Third Option can help to reduce that.
So great. I wanted to also remind viewers that if you do have any questions, feel free to send them. We'd be happy to try to answer some questions. If you have any, we have a little bit more time left. Randy, you can just step in if you have any questions and let us know. And, what else about the third option do you think that, if somebody's like debating, I don't know. What would be your like last piece of advice, last piece of, encouragement for someone who's struggling right now to say, it's okay. You're going to be okay. What do you think you could say to somebody?
Well, I have two things that I'd like to throw out there that I hang on to. They're phrases that I guess have helped me. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength.
Mhm.
Even if it's tuning into this program and you don't even ask your question, but you're reaching out. People who have called over the years and just picked up that phone for information. And maybe it took them 3 sessions of Third Option before they'd even show up. But just the ability to reach out that that you're struggling, that's a sign of strength. So I like to think of that. And the other thing, besides feeling you're not alone, I think that was the biggest thing that people walked away from, that assurance that I'm not the only person in the world that's having trouble in this relationship. That's a wonderful, comforting feeling. But for us, I think the thing I remember the most, that sticks with me the most, would I rather be right or would I rather be in a relationship? And Third Option is all about that. Every single workshop brings us to that point, makes us think about it. What are we here for? What did we have 48 years ago together? Why did we come together? It's a rediscovery of that and then choosing that, So this program works, but it's like everything else, you have to work at it. It works if you work it.
Mhm.
The other thing is in the title itself, I was always perplexed. And I would always go to Pat Ennis and say, Pat, why is it called the third option? I don't get it. Well, there are many answers that I've learned since then, but there's my way, there's your way. And if that's not working too well, there's the
My
third
way?
option.
Oh, no, sorry, no.
No, that's not the one.
No, that's not the one, right? No, that's a different video.
No.
Yeah.
You know, there's also, there's painful endurance going through a tough marriage and trying to last it out, and it's a struggle. Or there's the divorce. That doesn't work either. That's painful. So the third option is learning the skills as to how to communicate, how to get along together, and learn that when we start hitting those hot buttons, we know right away instinctively that's part of what we learned in third option. We shouldn't be doing this. So those are the things that I always recall, that when I start going down the wrong path, that is something that I want to remember, that don't go that way. It's going to take you down the path of destruction.
And I think
Yeah.
it's true that, like you were talking, reaching out, we tell our kids, when you're in school, reach out to your teachers. If you need help, reach out. We reach out to our physicians. If we need help, we reach out. And, and then all of a sudden when we're adults and if we're struggling in our marriage and we're all like, nope, don't want anybody to know, can't talk about it. And then what does that show our kids of how to or not to handle situations? So I agree. It is that courageous, and it's, teaching to, it's okay. You can go ahead and take those steps, and it's good to do that.
We agree.
Yeah, I don't think that at this point we do have any questions, so we can probably for this evening wrap up our first evening. But before we do sign off, I did just want to address anyone who is listening, whether it's tonight or maybe they'll join us in 2 sessions or in 3 sessions, who knows, that, anybody who is hurting or is in a struggling marriage, right now during this pandemic, that where we are physically having to be separated from our family and friends and work and our support groups, et cetera, that, that emotional and social separation within our homes with our own spouses or our partner, that's especially mentally taxing. And especially now, now we're really separated from anybody else. But if anybody's here tonight, if anybody out there who is struggling is watching tonight, that I hope that, you can look in the mirror and see courage, because that truly is what you should see, because it does take courage to reach out and step out onto this path. It's a great path to start on. You're heading in the right direction to possibly reconciling to a better relationship, a healthier family, a healthier marriage. And, it's a good thing, and it is courageous. So I think anybody who reaches out in any way should be proud of that. So Mike and Andrea, I really do appreciate you being very patient with us all through this afternoon and our practices earlier and our false start tonight. But we made it through. And next week we will be back again. I don't know if Mike and Andrea will be with us next week. I hope so. But if they can't, I totally get it. I am hoping to have other guests on as well. And we may even have old home week with some of us previous couples who used to meet with Mike and Andrea before. So thank you so much. Our plan is every week to discuss a new topic. So next week would be the first topic, which is building a climate of respect. And we hope to see you then. Thanks, Mike and Andrea. On behalf of everybody at the Third Option International, I'm Sue Pinto. Thank you for joining us and making our social distancing just a little less distant.
So click them off and tell
Thank
them.
you.
Thank you,
too,
Sue and Randy.
Sue.